The TANA Forum is an important annual event in Ethiopia, uniting African leaders, policymakers, scholars, and international partners to discuss security, governance, and regional integration. Named after Lake Tana, it serves as a vital platform for shaping Africa's global strategies, promoting peace, regional cooperation, and amplifying Africa's voice worldwide. Hello and welcome. Today's roundup focuses on the 2025 11th session of the TANA Forum, which is set to be held in Bahir Dar and Addis Ababa from today to 26th of October under the theme Africa in an Evolving Global Order. I'm your host, Gamachisa Mandida, alongside my colleague, Desta Kahasai. Stay with us. Hello, Desta.
Hello, Gamachis.
Well, the TANA Forum, it is held annually in Ethiopia, and of course, it gathers African leaders, scholars, and international partners to discuss critical issues such as security and governance. And since its inception in 2012, it has been entertaining a lot of issues, we can say. And of course, if we just go back to 2015, one of the most profound summit involved the Sahel region in 2015, and we had terrorist activities in the Sahel region by then, and African leaders came together in this summit, this TANA Forum, and then they just, of course, brought in just the important matters that affected the Sahel region during that period, and of course that led to increased regional cooperation. And of course, since then again, this summit has been, addressing critical security challenges in many parts of Africa, especially in the Horn of Africa, of course. We can have, this Rwanda, we can have, Sudan, we can have Somalia. And in these places, in these countries, we had security issues. And of course, the summit entertained, issues that will bring in, peace in these places, in these areas. And mobilization of humanitarian aid, for example, in South Sudan and in many parts of the Horn of Africa, and especially it has been working in collaboration with IGAD. So I just would like to give us, the review of these accomplishments by TANA Forum in the last, decade and more.
Thank you, Gamachis. And the TANA Forum, since its outset, it is a high-level dialogue that focuses on ensuring peace and security, particularly in the Horn of Africa and in general in the continent, across the continent. And over the last 10 sessions, it has made a tremendous achievements in, say, putting forward research recommendations and for policy making in the African Union Peace and Security Commission and so on. So, all in all, we can say that the TANA Forum has made clear that the unwavering commitment for the last decade has been an outstanding showcase of African solutions for African problems. And things has to be done across the roundtable discussions through high-level expertise and international organizations. For far too long, Africa has been seeking the Peace and Security Council's decisions and declarations, which Africa as a continent is not represented. But this high-level dialogue has made clear that things can be changed through a dialogue. And we can see, as you have already mentioned, that during the crisis in South Sudan, during the conflict in Sudan, and even during the prolonged instability in Somalia, the TANA Forum has put forward many solutions that the African Union has used it even in the ATMIS, the African Union Transitional Mission in Somalia and in South Sudan, as you have already mentioned. So the achievements and the contributions of the TANA Forum over the last 10 sessions was huge and paramount. And that's why many experts across the region and across the continent, including even from the international communities, take part. And I think the 2025 that has already kicked on will have the same and beyond contributions for the peace and security in the Horn of Africa and beyond, even to the continent, I think.
Yes, Desta. It's very unfortunate that the Horn of Africa is, I mean, most of the time, it entertains, conflicts, and as a result, citizens, just suffer. For example, we have displaced people, we have huge property damage, and just to get out of it and then, just bring in, things normal is not easy for nations, especially, nations in the Horn of Africa, including Ethiopia as well. Take, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, Sudan, and Rwanda. And these are, countries that have been badly affected by conflicts in the last decade, we can say. And so the significance of this TANA summit is very huge with respect to, the realities in the Horn of Africa. And of course, there have been, interventions made by the summit. And if it was not, for actions taken by the summit, maybe, just things could have been, worse for the citizens of, nations in the Horn of Africa. So a lot has been done by this TANA summit with regard to promoting regional dialogue and reconciliation. For example, we had cross-border dialogue to resolve conflict in the Horn of Africa, and especially, as we mentioned earlier, IGAD is a very good player here. So it, along with, IGAD reinforced, peace talks. For example, we remember in the last decade, Ethiopia and Eritrea managed, just to reconcile, and then in 2018, as Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, just came to office, there has been, a big change in terms of, the relations between the two countries, and of course, that just, brought in, huge, big hope in terms of, mitigating, conflicts in the Horn of Africa. And again, we have, cross-border security initiatives that were dealt by this summit. So that encouraged, joint military and intelligence cooperation among various institutions in the Horn of Africa, and it addressed threats like, Al-Shabaab and insurgencies, in the Horn of Africa. And so all these, have been entertained by this summit so far. And of course, right now we have, just the 2025 TANA summit, and well, it is expected to be, just different in some way from the summit in its journey so far. So how can you explain, what we are likely to have, in the 2025 TANA summit?
One of the very instrumental contributions of the TANA Forum over the last 10 sessions is it has been a pioneer in setting the bar for other forums and regional summits to come up with this. For example, the notables that we can mention post the TANA Forum or the 2012, the Dakar International Forum was started in 2014 following the TANA Forum, and Aswan Forum in 2019, and including even the AU Solidarity. So the TANA Forum has set out the very instrumental role for a high-level dialogue across the continent, from the west, from the north, from the east, and so on. So this is such words mentioning I shouldn't have missed it. So our viewers have to understand that the TANA Forum has immense potential, and it has contributed for other forums to come and at least contributes in many ways for the continent. And coming back to your question, what do we expect from the 2025 TANA Forum, the 11th edition is, one, we can say that we expect that the special envoys and the foreign ministers who will be discussing among the main issues is the Sudan conflict, the conflict in Sudan that has been taking many lives and even displaced millions. So I think this is a crucial issue they would be discussing, how to handle it and how to mitigate the human suffering that's taking place in Sudan. And this shows that I think, as I have already mentioned, that the TANA Forum is at least fostering African solutions for African problems. So the Sudan situation, the situation in Sudan is one of the topics that the leaders and experts will be discussing on bringing peace and bringing negotiations in the situation in Sudan. And the other thing we expect them to discuss is the AUSOM, the African Union support and mission in Somalia, which was established in January 2025. And it is lacking a financial funding of about 75% of inadequacy its funding. So this will be an issue, at least how do we bring about the inadequacy and find the funding so that the support for Somalia, for the mission in Somalia can be maintained. And Ethiopia is part of the AUSOM. So I think this is the other thing. And the other one is Africa's global influence, which is Africa has been demanding its rightful representation in the United Nations Security Council. And I think I had the opportunity during the press conference of the 2025, the 11th edition, to meet the African Union Peace and Security Program Director. And I asked one of the questions, how is Africa going to address the question of its representation as the UN Security Council? Sometimes they say without a veto, and Africa requires at least 3 representation permanent seats, and at the same time 2 non-permanent seats with full right of veto and so on. So who is going to represent Africa is another question. What are the mechanisms in place so that Africa can be represented at the UN Security Council? So this is the third topic we expect to be discussed during the 11th session of TANA Forum, I think. There could be many issues, but I think these are the very major topics they would be discussing, I suppose.
Yes. By the way, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa have been converging efforts, to demand a strengthened, Africa's global influence in the international arena. Okay, and of course, these 3 countries have been, working towards ensuring that Africa will have a seat, like in the Security Council. It will have a representation in the Security Council, but I hope that other countries will follow the path of Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa in their efforts, to echo their demands, which is likely, to allow Africa to have a representation in the United Nations Security Council. That is one important thing I think participants of this summit will bring to the table and discuss. Well, the other thing is, of course, we have, a world that is changing, okay, on a daily basis. The world is changing in a way that is unprecedented in every aspect, we can say. For instance, these days, cybersecurity is a big challenge for African countries. Of course, it's a global challenge. Big institutions globally are being affected by cybersecurity challenges. And so it is very likely that, this summit will entertain adapting, to new security threats in global context. And of course, conflicts do not hang, in the air by themselves. They don't exist by themselves. There is, a cause for that. So if we just examine into the causes of conflicts, of course, we see economic status of nations, their citizens, one big factor. And these participants who come together in this TANA summit are likely, to navigate through the economic shifts and global trade. For example, we're having, the rise of Asia and the impact of trade wars, which affect, African countries, and especially, the two giants. Take, China and the U.S. when they fight, when they have this um, trade wars, Africans are very much likely to be affected badly. And we remember ever since the start of the Ukraine war, well, we have problems following, in Africa, as we are importers of their produce, Russian wheat, Ukrainian wheat. Many Africans, just rely on them. And as a result of the war between Russia and Ukraine, well, those imports have been badly affected, and as a result, there has been, rise in prices of wheat that Africans in general import. And this is also, this is likely, to be surfaced, just during this summit. What else do you have?
Yeah, you have mentioned at least, I think, the evolving global order requires Africa to look inward and set the mechanisms how to avert any of the threats that comes its way and so on. As you have already mentioned, after the post-COVID came the Russia-Ukraine crisis, and it has at least affected Africa, particularly the Horn of Africa and countries, in many ways. And that's not only the only thing, as you have stated well, the emerging technology has brought many advantages to human beings, and at the same time has posed many threats. One of them is the cybersecurity, and Africa certainly looks for its own solutions there. So cybersecurity is, with the coming of fintech and so on, Africa requires its own security apparatus. And I think the Horn of Africa is exposed to many things due to its location and due to its geographic strategic importance.
Yeah.
It is exposed for many things, and there are many interested groups to play their own role. And for this and many other driving factors, the TANA Forum can bring or put forth many solutions for such kind of things. And as you have already mentioned, the political economic scenario across the globe is changing dynamically. I think we've seen the tariffs put by the Trump administration here and there, and being changed, even unpredictably being changed and reversed due to many factors and so on. And there are many African countries that has been affected due to that and so on. So the TANA Forum can bring about the discussions about what will be next and what is expected. So as long as it brings multifaceted experts from different sectors, particularly that can give their knowledge toward this bringing peace and security in the Horn of Africa in particular, and Africa in general. This could be a very momental time, I think, to address some of the very critical issues, as you have mentioned, the cybersecurity and global geopolitical order and political economies that has been played by the developed countries, and at the same time, again, taking its rightful place Africa in the global arena, such as the UN Security Council and the financial architectures.
Yeah. Well, we have, just the challenge of climate change, which has been, talked about for decades. And we can see that, of course, climate change is, a topic that is alive. Yeah. We can't avoid it. And during this summit, it is very likely that climate change will be, one of the top agendas. Well, the problem with African countries is that, Africa is affected by drought and floods and food insecurity. And it's very unfortunate that places, some places that have been normally, dry for quite too long are flooded. Yeah? Yeah. And as a result, well, in case, just farmers have planted, anything, they just get destroyed. And this has been, a big problem in many parts of Africa. Because of drought, farmers lose their produce. And following this, of course, we entertain, food insecurity. And food sovereignty is, something Africa needs to give attention to. Africans, have been, living by the support, by aid from Western's developed nations in general. But this has to stop, and this can happen, of course, when you are able to mitigate, just climate change, or when you are able to deal with, the impacts of climate change. And following that, of course, we have this technology. Technology is something very important as well. And Africa needs to be able to harness, technology and innovation. Without technology and innovation, it cannot, for example, give solution to its food insecurity, climate change. Again, unfortunately, climate change results from partly the emission of carbon monoxide or toxic gases into the atmosphere. And obviously, this happens as a result of industries elsewhere, not in Africa. And the emission of carbon monoxide, can be dealt with when you have, proper technology, when you have, proper or innovative, approaches to deal with the causes and, of course, the impacts of climate change. And what is Africa is doing? What has Africa been doing in terms of, utilizing, harnessing technology, harnessing innovation to solve, its challenges, is very much likely to be, just the topic as well in this TANA summit. Well, again, we can't help it. We cannot do all these, we cannot accomplish all these, just alone. We need, partnership, and we need alliances. And Africa, just needs to build, partnerships and alliances. Well, these days we have multipolar nations or multipolar powers. Yeah. Sure. And you need to align with them so that you'll be able to receive just the kind of support you need to mitigate just all these challenges and inadequacies as far as, of course, solving them is concerned. Well, Desta, I just would like to ask you, of course, the challenges that are likely to be critically examined in this TANA summit.
Yeah, as you have already mentioned, I think we have stated some of the points, the major agendas they would be discussing. But in addition to that, we expect at least they will discuss, as you have mentioned, climate change is not only about the global warming or the flooding or the landslides and so on. Countries, third world or as they call it, or the developing countries are being affected for the things they have contributed less. So they are forced at least to put their budgets in at least reversing the climate change that has put their countries in a greater risk. So with this regard, I think the TANA Forum can at least discuss and put what are the solutions, what can African countries, particularly the TANA Forum participatories in the Horn of Africa can do. And the other thing is that they can even discuss about adapting new security threats in global context too, and even navigating economic shifts, as we have mentioned. At least new things are coming to the surface in Africa, such as currency swap, and with the coming of BRICS and so on, the economic shifts are there. So I think security is not only about the conflicts that are taking place on the ground. It has many dimensions. It is economic, as you have already said, even it is climate change and so on. So the threats that are all in all are being seen and observed in the Horn of Africa and even at large in Africa. How do we mitigate them would be the question. And I think the very unique and peculiar characteristic from the last 10 sessions this year is that a new thing has come to the TANA Forum. It has brought many special envoys to take part there and exchange notice and exchange ideas and put ideas there so that the Horn of Africa can come to a very stable and peaceful situation so that mutual prosperity can be easily attained, I think.
Well, in this summit, the participants we can see are so powerful. Yeah,
sure.
We have, just African leaders. There's just that run, high offices. Yeah,
sure.
We have, of course, investors, and these people have, just the economic capability to bring about, the kind of change that is sought by Africans in general. We also have, stakeholders. When we talk about stakeholders, we have a variety of them. Okay, we have, for example, technical expertise. Yeah, and of course, you might have political will, you might have the finance, but if you don't have, just the technical expertise, who can turn that into reality, well, you cannot be successful. Now in this summit, we just have all these groups of people so powerful to come up and then, just deal with security issues, economic issues, etc. And security issues, of course, cannot be seen, separately. They don't stand separate. They are interconnected with, other factors as well. So when you talk about security, you talk about the economy, you talk about, just social integration, etc. For example, this, as far as you have a very widespread, economic, dependency and structural weaknesses, you cannot give, solution to conflict, because the cause of conflict is, for example, inequality and poverty, etc. And so governments are expected, just to bring the issue of inequality, the issue of poverty to the table, because, that is one big factor contributing to conflict everywhere in Africa. And of course, technology serves here. It has a purpose here, which is, for example, to give solution to the challenge of inadequate infrastructure. Okay, roads, schools, anything that we need, these infrastructures should be, provided by governments. And of course, the educational and human capital deficit is also, just a big challenge. And security challenges and conflicts by themselves are, just big challenges. Health crisis and environmental degradation, as we mentioned earlier, and all these, converge to play their peculiar role in bringing about, just conflicts everywhere. So African leaders who are attending this summit, the TANA summit, and their stakeholders, their respective stakeholders, okay, and of course, the experts are expected to bring, just these issues to the table, and then, discuss them critically, investigate them, deeply, in order to bring about, just the desirable outcome. And when it comes to solution, well, we may say, this and that, okay? And of course, there's no one clear solution to solve, just these challenges we mentioned now. But generally speaking, there are anticipations that we can make. We can have, possibly, that will be entertained, just during this summit. So can you say a few of them?
Yeah, I think one of the things is the situation in Sudan, for example, didn't get the attention it deserved at the global level, I think. So discussing this and bringing about a solution, one thing, and at least making the international community see what's going on there and giving its attention it deserves in saving lives and bringing peace and security there is another thing. And the other thing again is the AU, some, as I have mentioned, requires about 75% of its funding. So I think I'm not sure we'll be hearing from our reporters maybe after minutes, but the African Union Commission Chairperson Ali Yusuf will be taking part in the TANA Forum. So this means a huge step forward, I think, in addressing the issues that Africa is requiring to set an example at least. Many have said that's a volatile region. I don't think it is a volatile region. The Horn of Africa. We've seen that Ethiopia, for example, as you have mentioned, have taken a very tremendous effort in bringing a lasting peace in Africa through contributing peacekeepers in Liberia, Rwanda, Burundi, Somalia, and so on. And this is the other phase of Ethiopia's unwavering commitment, I think, to the Pan-African spirit and to African solutions to African problems through dialogue and through discussions. So I think this is a very step forward, bringing the situations, the problems, and discussing them. If I'm not mistaken, as the saying goes, a solution, a problem well stated is half solved.
Yes.
So if we discuss about our problems, at least we are halfway there to getting the remedies. So I think with all the experts and our African Union leaders, we will come up with rightful solutions so that Africa and its people will breathe a peaceful air, I think.
It's a long journey. It's not easy to succeed in. Of course, we understand this summit is not going to give answer to all the questions likely to be raised during this summit, but we just do hope that they will engage in real conversation and they will discuss real problems and seek real solutions. and economic communities such as ECOWAS, EAC, SADC, if they come together, they are very much likely to give solution to the economic challenges of Africa's in these regions, north, east, south, west, central, etc. Desta, I think time limits us here, and we wrap our roundup here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Viewers, thank you very much for watching our roundup today, and next time we'll come up with another edition. Until then, goodbye.